Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Canal Algérie's news in English. And the beginning is with the headlines. The Tizi Ouzou Stadium state-of-the-art facilities inspected by the Housing Minister to ensure its delivery in due time. The budgetary reforms are delivered by the National People's Assembly, notably the Organic Law 1815 for better regulation of public policies. The opening of the third edition of the digital exhibition on Sunday with the participation of 70 exhibitors and international actors in the field. And the Makhzen regime is once again behind another scandal. This time it includes the UNESCO, which decides to fire a Moroccan employee involved in spying via Pegasus spying software. Good evening, those are today's headlines. We begin our news edition with the sad news of the explosion that took place on Sunday evening in Istiqlal Avenue in the busy Taksim Square at the heart of the Turkish city of Istanbul, where 6 people have been killed and 10 others were injured in a preliminary toll. The explosion of the source of citizens, which compelled the Turkish authorities to close the Istiqlal Avenue in Istanbul. Algeria strongly condemned this terrorist explosion that targeted the Taksim Square while extending its sincere condolences and sympathy to the families of the victims. Algeria expressed its full solidarity with the Turkish government and people in these painful circumstances, reaffirming the need to intensify the efforts of the international community to combat terrorism in accordance with a comprehensive and multilateral approach. Algeria, which suffered from the scourge of terrorism and triumphed over it, remains certain that the friendly Republic of Turkey is capable of overcoming the scourge thanks to the unity and steadfastness of its people and their rallying around the efforts of its authorities to preserve the security and stability of the country. Following this explosion, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the national community abroad, through the Algerian Consulate General in Istanbul, is closely following the situation of our nationals in the explosion hit area. The ministry would like to reassure that no casualties or injuries have been reported among our citizens following this bombing, and calls on Algerians residing or transiting in Istanbul to be cautious and to stick to the safety instructions issued by the Turkish authorities and keep in touch with the Algerian Consulate General in Istanbul through the following phone numbers. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community abroad, Runtal Amamra, met with his Sahrawi counterpart, Mohammed Salim Ould Salek. The audience took place in the presence of the Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the National Community abroad, Ammar Billani. The scandals of the Makhzen regime continue. The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, decided to fire a Moroccan employee following an internal investigation which showed her direct involvement using the Pegasus spying software to spy on officials of UNESCO. Sabrin Tafarginit has more.
Another massive international scandal is seriously hitting the Makhzen regime after firing a Moroccan employee, namely Wafel Abrishi, working for the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, for involvement in spying for the Moroccan Special Services after an internal inquiry, revealing that she has leaked secret information about the Expression and Media Development Department of the organization. After conducting a secret investigation about the Moroccan direct involvement using Pegasus program with the purpose of spying on this organization's executives. Using spying software and targeting foreign figures is not something unfamiliar for this regime, in addition to using the NS program belonging to a Zionist company, where Spain is considered as one of the most targeted countries. This was reported by the Investigation Committee of the European Parliament, which established the PEGA Commission specialized in the investigation about Pegasus and other spying programs uses.
Still in Morocco, demonstrations continue against the shameful practices of al-Makhzen in Casablanca. Precisely, many demonstrators took to the streets against the price hikes amid the continuous silence observed by the Makhzen regime. Rania al-Bahri.
Once again, the street is rumbling in Morocco due to the increase in suffering and the extreme poverty experienced by the vast majority of the people. The same slogans are chanted during popular demonstrations, this time from Casablanca, that Moroccans have taken to the streets to denounce the injustice of which they are victims. We live in a fragile situation. We wish to get support from all Moroccans. We don't ask for anything but our rights. We are against high prices and government's decisions. This is a disturbing and provocative social situation. The high prices hit all basic needs and fuel without the state's intervention to support the purchasing power of citizens. With the high cost of living and soaring prices, the population finds itself struggling. Exasperated and revolted by the policy of the Makhzen, which continues to get richer on the backs of the most vulnerable social categories. Add to that the 2023 finance law, which won't serve the interests of people. On the contrary, it comes to push them further into poverty. The deterioration of the purchasing power in our country has brought us to an unbearable level. But more than that, we don't understand the government's cruelty towards our people. With a salary below the minimum guaranteed wage, unpaid overtime, and the lack of medical coverage, large segments of the population find themselves deprived of almost everything. The unfair decisions of government against employees have several aspects, including the file of increase in the wages, which doesn't exist, and also the retirement file. The daily food for the Moroccan citizen is not available. We have to stage protests followed by national-wide strike. Despite extreme poverty and social disparities, Moroccans are still waiting for real reforms, hoping that their government will respond favorably to their most basic demands.
The Moroccan people are still determined to continue demonstrating in the country's big cities, demanding the departure of the government unable to meet their demands. More details with Sabrin Tafriganit.
Moroccans are facing difficult life conditions amid a massive socio-economic crisis. Demonstrations are now part of their daily routine. People took to the streets to express their outrage and to denounce the current situation, preventing them from having a decent life. According to the Moroccan Investment Bank report, the country's economic situation by 2023 is unknown. It will be a year with a higher deficit, rising indebtedness, weak agricultural season due to drought, and the price increase of raw and energetic materials. Observers believe that social and political demands might link up. The public opinion is demanding the respect of human rights and freedoms in Rif, a region that is marginalized in the north of Morocco. It also denounces normalization with the Zionist entity and its stubbornness not to make any approach in its conflict with the Sahrawi people. By that, Akhnouch government policy is being exposed, a policy that prefers to manage current affairs for the fulfillment of personal interests. Even if Al-Makhzen regime is adapting the worst repressive measures, Moroccans remain determined to fight for their legitimate rights.
New orientations in terms of the budgetary reform were discussed during a forum organized by the National People's Assembly, whose President Brahim Boughali affirmed that the implementation of the Organic Law 1815 will allow for a better regulation of public policies as well as the evaluation of performances in several sectors. Manal Amari with the details.
The implementation of the 2023 Organic Law relating to the finance law is part of the state's budget reform, which will instill more transparency in the management and rationalization of public expenditure. The organic law relating to the finance law aims to reform the budgetary and financial framework. It is a means to modernize public finance management. It also strives to introduce deep changes in this area, as well as taking in charge several axes, namely the reform of the framework of the management of public finance by focusing on efficiency and results, the improvement of the presentation of the finance law and its contents to obtain clearer and better texts with more transparent budgetary information that will enable a better access to information and will strengthen parliamentary control and the integration of the flexibility parameter in fiscal management. Mechanisms to deal with crises and provide managers with more flexibility in decision-making will also be set up in order to strengthen parliamentary control, in addition to a better evaluation of public policies to make the budget more readable, in addition to the better assessment of various sectors. The organic law specificity is that it sets up a budgetary framework over the medium term, particularly the budget for the current year and the upcoming 2 years, not to mention the volume of expenditure. It will also allow more transparency. A modernization based on performance and efficiency of public finances is Algeria's objective for a revival focused on the better management of public expenditure.
The new sports stadium in Tizi Ouzou will be delivered on time after a 2-year halt in construction. The sport facility is equipped with 50,000 covered seats and other facilities endowed with modern equipment. The full story with Manal Ammari.
The Minister of Housing, Urban Planning and the City, Mohammed Tariq Belaribi, paid another inspection visit to this infrastructure, following a previous one he carried out last October. At the moment, the stadium is undergoing an accelerated work pace to be handed over as soon as possible, as per the government's demands. The primary goal of the roadmap we set up was that we would be done by the beginning of November. Now we're completely finished with all of the external configuration before the end of a 6 or 7 month project contract. We fulfilled our primary objective, namely completing the stadium's field, setting up the seats, lights and big screens. However, we still have more work to do, and we intend on maintaining the same efforts with the same work pace, since we observed great results on the field. The stadium is now 90% over. We also have the Douira Stadium project that is currently 65 or 70% finished. Huge efforts have been put into completing these projects as soon as possible, following the 2-year standstill caused by the pandemic. Such facilities will for sure allow Algeria to host other mega regional and international events.
The third edition of the digital exhibition Digitech, with the participation kicked off on Sunday here in Algiers, with the participation of 70 exhibitors and international actors in the field. More details with Daniel Bahri.
The third Digitech exhibition aims to be a bridge between the various economic operators and companies specializing in digital transformation. Whether Algerian or foreign, the objective is exploring new investment markets in the field of new technologies. This year's edition is marked by the participation of companies active in the sector, particularly in the fields of cybersecurity and multimedia. We came from Tunisia. We have production company. It is an opportunity for us to present our products, find partners, and test the business climate here in Algeria. The third Digital Information and Communication Technology exhibition, Digitech 2022, is also an opportunity to highlight the progress made by Algeria in the digitization of different sectors, such as education, health, and transport. Banking institutions have also marked their presence with the presentation of the facilitation of transactions granted to citizens thanks to the use of new technologies. We are present at the New Technology Fair to present our product relating to this field. It is also a space for the exchange of experience. This is an event that concerns new information and communication technologies. It is an important area for banking institutions because all transactions are digitized. The generalization of the use of NTIC in the various sectors of activity becomes the priority of the state for the promotion of the national economy and the development of the public service at the service of citizens.
An exhibition match was held by the Algerian consulate in Nanterre in France as part of the festivities marking the outbreak of the Algerian Revolution. The game was upgraded by the participation of several legends of the national team, including L'Khdar Belloumi, Tasfaut, and Nasser Bouish, to the great delight of 4,000 fans who admired their immense skills and techniques. The national team coach Jamal Belmadi held a press conference here in Algiers, during which he provided detailed information about the Desert Warriors for the upcoming competitions, notably the two friendly games versus Mali and Sweden. For him, these two games are so important since the two squads have different styles. Thus, they represent a good test for the Desert Foxes in their next matches. And with that, our news edition comes to a close. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.